Raul Smith here with another reminder that we are still continuing our affiliation sponsorship program. Now, the affiliation sponsorship program is much more than just a 30-minute plug, or 30-second plug, I should say, on the Closing Tag podcasts. It is so much more than that, and if you are interested in hearing more, contact Raul at theclosingtag.com. That's Raul at theclosingtag.com. So I know that there's a lot of anxiety and a lot of, craziness going on right now in the world, and a lot of uncertainty. People are very worried, very anxious, and everything. And without going into the details, because this is not the podcast for that, let's just say there's a lot of people that are worried, about surviving, basically. This is Life Talk, part of the Closing Tag Network. And I'm here to shed a little light on life. Let's ignore all the bad that's going on right now. All the bad that's going on, locally or in the world or even in your own life. Put all of that off to the side for like 2 minutes. Well, more like 20. And let's focus on the good. Now, one thing I want people to do, and this is something that I started doing recently. I've done it in the past, but I've kind of ventured off and, not really stayed on top of it as much as I should have. But one thing I want you to do is I want you, before you go to bed tonight, I want you to sit down, and it can be on a piece of paper, it can be with your partner, it can be with your kids, it can be to yourself. It can even be silently if you want. Take the time, 2, 3, 4 minutes, and really evaluate some of the good that's going on in your life. And you can dwell on all the negative and everything while you're awake and while you're, in the thick of things. You'll have plenty of time to dwell on the negative. It's not going anywhere. Dwell on the positive for 4 minutes before you go to bed. And really think to yourself, man, today was a rough day, but, I heard my child laugh and that made me happy. That made my day. Or today was really a rough day. I was not feeling it, but then I heard something funny on the radio, or I heard something funny on YouTube or whatever, and it made me laugh. And I needed it. I'll take my life, as I usually do on this podcast, as an example. Yesterday, there was a lot going on. I was stressed. I was trying my best to not get too overwhelmed with things. I've got multiple projects going on at work. I've got multiple projects going on with my business. And it's really getting stressful around here. And one of the things that really helped me personally was playing with my cat. And you've probably seen him either in the background or come up on my lap or whatever in the past. His name is Cuddles. And he is extremely adorable, like dangerously adorable. And every time that I play with him, he brings a smile to my face because there are just certain mannerisms and certain things that he does that I find amusing, I find funny. Another thing that, brings me joy is watching some of my favorite programs on whatever streaming services are available. It can be, I'm currently in the middle of season 2 of Invincible. I'm currently starting the final season for Star Trek Discovery. And watching, those programs really helps, bring a smile to my face. Makes me forget about things for a while. Another thing that, helps is, talking with family, talking with friends. And one friend in particular, she knows who she is, reached out to me yesterday and, wanted me to do a favor for her. Not that kind of favor. That's for a different podcast. That's for an entirely different podcast. I don't know if the world's ready for that one. But, it was just a friendly favor between friends. I've known this woman for 12, 13 years, probably longer than that. And, we're both gigantic peanut butter fiends. I mean, have you seen this lately? So stuff like that helps, bring some levity and bring some balance to my life. Just, and it doesn't have to be what happened that particular day. It can just be stuff that's going on in your life in general. Because I think in the minutia of the day-to-day, whether you're doing stuff for work, whether you're, trying your best to do that project at home that you're, trying to get done. A lot of stuff can get lost in the minutia, a lot of the big picture stuff. For me, it's the fact that, yes, the business is stressful right now. And yes, work is stressful right now. But it's building to something. It's building to something bigger and something better for me personally. While I didn't get a chance to talk to her yesterday, I'm grateful that I have the relationship that I have with my daughter. I'm grateful that I have the relationship that I have with my son. Because I know that's not going to, be as strong in 2, 3, 5, 7 years. My son's already talking about going to college. He's already taken his, ACTs. So the reality of him leaving his mom's nest and spreading his wings and going out into the world is scary. But at the same time, I am extremely proud of him. And my daughter is only 10, but she's not going to be 10 forever. I said that 5 years ago that she wasn't going to be 5 forever, and she wasn't. But I'm grateful that she's still, reaches out to me every once in a while and says, hey, let's talk. Hey, let's, I want to do a FaceTime. It's like, okay, we can do FaceTime. And sometimes I'm not able to, but, whenever I can, I try to do that as much as I can. And I'm grateful that I have that relationship, because it could have been very easy for that to be taken away from me 3 years ago. And it wasn't. And that's one thing that I'm eternally grateful for. I'm grateful I have a roof over my head. It's not the greatest. It's got its issues. But it's a roof over my head. It's something that is a lot better than most people are dealing with right now. And I'm grateful for that. Now, could all of these things in my life be better? Yes. Everything could be better. But everything could also be worse. No matter how bad something may seem in your life, never assume that it can never get worse, because it could always get worse. My mom always had a saying that she would tell me when I was growing up. And that is, never say two things ever, no matter how bad things get. Never say what's the worst that could happen. And never say how much worse can it possibly get, because the universe will take that as a challenge. And, you always assume that things can never get worse, but it will. It will. And it can. So, gratitude is a huge part of life. And it's something that a lot of people, myself included, tend to lose sight of, especially when they're dealing with stress and they're dealing with anxiety and they're dealing with things in their life that are constantly bringing them down, down, down. I'm thankful that I have a podcast. I'm thankful that I have a career. I'm thankful that I have things in my life that are helping provide a living for me, that don't require me to shovel dirt or lift heavy objects 12 hours a day. I'm thankful that I can then take these, gifts and these, tricks of the trade, these, I forget the word. I'm thankful that I can take these things and that I can then apply them to get better. Constant improvement in my life. Constant improvement in my professional life. Things that I can then use to maybe get a better job. Maybe stave off this wave of AI that's coming. I'm thankful that AI has not yet taken my job, so there's that. I'm thankful that I'm not dealing with things in my life. There's a lot of people dealing with things in their lives that are just a major problem. One of those major issues is addiction. The only thing that I can really say that I'm addicted to is coffee. And yes, caffeine addiction is real. If you are a heavy coffee drinker like I am, and you go even a day without any caffeine whatsoever, and I've done this before, you get a major headache, preferably right here in the frontal lobe. Major migraines. Your energy is just sapped. And yeah, it's a mess. It's a gigantic mess. A lot of people that are listening to this probably already know my struggles in the past with vertigo. I'm thankful that it's not as bad as it could be, given my history of ear infections, given my history of sinus infections. I'm dealing with one right now. And no, it's not COVID. I tested 3 times last week. They all came out negative. So, I'm thankful I don't have COVID. I'm thankful that I am not dealing with stuff like drug addiction or alcohol addiction or gambling addiction or any of that. I'm probably addicted to hearing the sound of my own voice, but that's another podcast altogether. And I'm thankful that it has been almost 15 years now since the last time I've been in jail, when a lot of people said that I wouldn't make it this long. And I've proven every single one of them wrong. So, I tend to try to lean towards being optimistic and looking at things on the bright side of life. And no, I'm not going to bust out into the whole Monty Python, song and dance, though I very easily could. And YouTube would probably copyright strike me. I'm thankful that, I have the people in my life that I have. I'm thankful I have, the tools in my life that I have. And it's not even a religious thing. It's just a me being grateful that things aren't worse than they are thing. So that's my challenge to you. My challenge to you, listening to this, as I've ranted now for almost 20 minutes, is try to find something positive that's going on in your life. If you're a parent, it can be something about your kids. If you're employed, you know what? There's a lot of people out there right now that aren't. Nah, it could be, you could say what you want about, maybe that's their own personal choice. Maybe that's something that they decided upon themselves that they didn't want to, work or whatnot. And by the way, I count Twitch streaming as employment to an extent. If you're making a decent amount of money doing nothing but Twitch all day, that's a job. That's employment. I count OnlyFans, assuming that they make enough money off of that, as employment. And some do. Some people are able to take gig employments like YouTube, like OnlyFans, like YouTube, like Twitch, like, Uber. And they're able to make a living for themselves off of that. And I applaud them for it. But not everybody can. Not everybody has that ability. So if you're one of those people, be thankful that you have that ability, that you have that network, that you have that ambition and that drive to do that, as a full-time job. And even if you're working in an office, even if you're working as a cashier, even if you're working in construction, be grateful for that. Gratitude for the things in your life is one of the things that's going to make your life better. Because you never know. My vertigo came at me out of nowhere one night. I went down thinking I was just dealing with a migraine and woke up at 2 a.m, practically fell out of bed. Your entire world can change like that. So, gratitude for the things that you do have is one of the things that's going to make life worth living. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear, something that you do on a day-to-day basis that helps really drive home the theme of gratitude in your life. Even if this message resonates with 3 people or 5 people or 10 people, it doesn't have to. I don't think of myself as someone that can change the world all at one time. I don't think anyone can. But if I can change the world for 5 people that are listening to this right now, or if I can change the world for 5 people that are watching this on Facebook or on YouTube, that's a good enough measurement. That's a good enough parameter for me to continue to do this. Is I honestly don't do this particular podcast, Life Talk, for the money. Though donations are definitely welcome. I don't do this for the bits. I don't do this for the clout. I don't do this for the views. I don't do this for anything other than to help people accomplish things that they want in their life. And if it's only 5 people, I consider that a success for this podcast. And if you are listening to this on Spotify, you can leave a review. Give this a rating on a 5-star scale. And don't just, leave a 5-star scale and 5-star review and bounce. Tell me what it is that you're getting out of this podcast, out of Life Talk. Tell me what it is that you're getting out of any of the other podcasts. Don't be that guy. I don't want to dwell on negative stuff, but don't be that guy. If you're watching this on YouTube, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, and you can also leave a comment there as well. I like reading comments on YouTube. Some of them can be nasty, some of them can be, a little bit out of bounds, but they're still funny and amusing to me. So there you go. Same thing on Facebook. You can comment there, you can share the video, you can like the video. Share the video with your friends and family and be like, you listen to this guy and listen to what it is that he's talking about. It's going to change your life. And that's ultimately what I want to do, is I want to change people's lives. Hopefully for the better. And I want to thank everyone for listening, for watching, for downloading, for doing all the things to help support this podcast, as I'm getting a little teary-eyed right now. Yeah. Your efforts are not going unnoticed. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm going to try to be a little bit more regular on these releases. I'm going to try to be a little bit more regular. The last couple of months have been they've been interesting. We'll leave it at that. And until next time, guys, remember to include your closing tags. Thanks.